All right, we're back with another pick'em video. Tonight we have the Rockets versus the Warriors, only one game slate, so definitely be a quicker video, but I got two plays that I'm really liking, so those will be the two official video picks. Not going to try to force anything, but I will talk about some leans as well, the game flow, how I think it's going to go, and yeah, then I'll get you guys out of here. So we are going to start with the recap of yesterday's plays. We will talk about any projected minutes and anything that I might agree or disagree with there, and then we will go into the actual plays, and then we'll be on our way. Enjoy your weekend. Let's do that. If you're new around here, definitely go ahead and leave the video a like, comment something down below. It does tell YouTube to push this video out a little bit more when you do that. And of course, subscribe if you're new. Let's hop in the recap. And then going over the quick recap here, it was a 2-2 day. Really thought we were getting a 3-1 day here with Jokic having 20 points at halftime, but he only scores 5 points in that second half. They go on to lose that game. Very unfortunate there. I thought Jokic was a shoo-in. Could have celebrated 3-1 day. Instead, we're 2-2. Let's talk about the other plays. Nicholas Batum plays 35 or so minutes in that one, so I love that call. He had 6 points very early on. He only shoots threes in that team, but it was the same payout, so I thought, why not go to the 5.5 points? And it was also plus money, so like that one. Malik Beasley were 12.5 points. Awesome read there. Very aggressive. Had, 18 points, 20 points at halftime. So easy cash. And then Jokic, of course, comes up short. Had 20 points at halftime. Was loving the read. And then they really just took him out of the actions. And, Jamal Murray scored well. It was a close game, but the Clippers end up pulling away at the end of that thing. And then Karl-Anthony Towns, what are we doing here? 22.5 points. What probably was almost my favorite read of the entire day, and he did nothing. He didn't shoot much, didn't score much. It was the Jalen Brunson show, and the stupid thing was, I've done this a few times in the playoffs so far. I see a line, I'm like, that's weirdly low, or that's weirdly high, and that was Jalen Brunson's line coming out at 28.5 when it's been at 29.5, and he keeps scoring 30 plus points against these guys. So my original thought was going to Jalen Brunson, and I was scared pretty much that the line was lower than usual. I actually saw it at 27.5 at some point during the day as well. So kind of maybe pivot, and I went to Karl-Anthony Towns and got really excited about that line. I thought that's what they would try to do, and he was a non-factor essentially. Pretty much everyone else went over their lines except for Towns. So bad read on Towns. Good read on everyone else. 2-2 day. We'll take the plus money play that we win. All right, so now let's hop into the actual game we got going on tonight. 9 o'clock start. Nice Friday night to enjoy this game. And we'll just go through the game, what I'm thinking here. So first of all, we're on RotoWire. If you want to check this out, link in the description down below. RotoWire is pretty sweet. That's where I get all my projected minutes and on-off-court stats and things like that. The only injury I have to talk about is going to be Jae'Sean Tate, who hasn't played in this series anyway. So no big deal. We've seen 5 games now of this going into Game 6. Fred VanVleet's been awesome. He's been the scorer of this team for sure. Alperen Sengun has been awesome. Amen Thompson has been awesome defensively for sure. So 35, 37, and 40 minutes from these guys. You expect as much time as you can handle in a win-or-go-home situation. And they handled business pretty easily last game. So a lot of these guys on both sides are going to be a little bit more well-rested than coming off a 40-plus game, a 40-plus minute game that they played. So a little bit well-rested here. That probably bodes well for the Warriors. It's probably why they threw in the towel halfway through the third quarter. But yeah, we got Amen Thompson. That's the main guy to look at to play Steph Curry. The only thing I'm scared about here is the fact that he might get into some foul trouble. And the only reason I say that is because Steph Curry's kind of been subdued the last 2 games. If he starts playing a little bit more aggressive and, goes and toys with the young guy trying to draw those fouls, then we might see him come off the floor, and that's where Steph Curry could start playing well. But if Thompson's smart enough to stay out of foul trouble, he was a block and steal machine last game, and he really has been defensively awesome throughout the entire series. If he can stay on the floor, I think Steph Curry's in another difficult night to score, and you got to look at guys like Pajcic and Steph Curry here. Jalen Green is someone that's playing himself out of the rotation. He's losing minutes. Obviously, the blowout situation didn't need a ton of minutes last time, but the defense of this Warriors team just goes right hand in hand with how Jalen Green scores the ball. So very, very difficult matchup for him to score. He's also extremely streaky, and he's in a down rut right now. So he did have that 138-point game explosion. He's capable of that. He's gone under so many times in a row that I'm a little bit shying away from fading him today. But Jalen Green unders in this series have been awesome. Dylan Brooks, moving along to him, 32 projected minutes for him. He is an instigator. He's a guy that, he realizes if he can get Steph Curry, if he can get Draymond Green to potentially get taken out of this game, their impact might be a little bit more than his impact. And he likes to make, you see Dylan Brooks play. He's annoying to play. Jimmy Butler, too, if they can get into it. That's probably what his goal is. If he can get Jimmy Butler thrown out of the game, that's an awesome thing that he can do. So the reason I'm saying that is because that's obviously a rarity. But at the same time, Dylan Brooks is a guy that's going to be it's almost his goal sometimes. He's a great 3-point shooter. He's a guy that can score some buckets, get some rebounds. But at the end of the day, I can't bet his overs because of that instigator factor and the idea that he has, a better chance of anyone than getting thrown out of this game. Jabari Smith Jr., a guy that I've bet on a million times, 25 projected minutes. He's played pretty well. Finally got the volume last game and doesn't come through for me, unfortunately. I don't know if I'm going to get to him today, but probably a really good opportunity for him to go over his scoring line. But yeah, that's what we got for the Rockets. That's over the Warriors side of things. I've already kind of mentioned some of these guys. Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry going to get as much time as they can handle. Pajcic been good. If he starts hot, he'll probably continue to be hot. Steph Curry, obviously going to get the bulk of the defense. When Steph Curry gets a screen, both the guys go out on him, and that's when we're going to see an open Butler, or an open Pajcic, an open Draymond Green, whatever it might be. And if they continue to do that, Steph Curry will have a tough time scoring, and I'll have a better time assisting the ball. So that's probably what I'll go to today. That's what I think is working for the Rockets, and that's what the defensive scheme should look like. You just get scared of Amin Thompson maybe finding himself in foul trouble, and that kind of ruins the defense. At the same time, they do have other defenders that can step up. No one is quick, though, as a guy like Amin Thompson. Jimmy Butler, I tried to bet on him last game. Only ends up playing like 23 or so minutes because of that blowout situation. He did score 8 points, but I think that this is another opportunity for him to really step up. Playoff Jimmy, closeout game here at home. I think Jimmy Butler can absolutely step up. Probably my favorite guy to go to. Pajcic, another guy, he's going to need to step up in a situation like this, especially because the defense is so locked in on Steph Curry. We talked about this last game. We saw it come to fruition, and I think that's going to be kind of the similar story today. But everyone else, Quentin Post, another guy that I'm pretty excited about. 20 minutes here. Saw him come out of the gates early last game. He had like 5 points in like the first minute on the floor there. So he's legit. He can score some buckets for sure. And then we got some other guys coming in off the bench. But really, it's win or go home situation here. Warriors probably want to close this thing out in game 6 on their home floor. So you probably expect as much time as they can handle in terms of the starting lineup. And then with obviously some other guys coming in, filling in the gaps, especially if they're playing well. So let's hop into Props Madness. We just had a full recap of what we got going on in these games. We'll actually start talking about some lines and get the official plays out. And of course, talk about some leans here as well. It is one game. We're not going to be able to predict the entire game, but sometimes it is fun to try to predict the game, get a nice parlay going, and throw $10 on a big money parlay or something like that. Throw some straight bets on the most confident plays, and see what come to fruition and enjoy the game at the same time. So we're going to use the Props Madness like we always do. This is a tool I used all throughout the season. When I first started using this, that's when my channel kind of blew up and got a ton of views because I was on like a 37-6 run or something crazy. Now in the playoffs, I will say it's obviously harder to just look at hit rates and use the advanced filters because things are changing all the time. So if you look at, isolation defense, that's changing from game to game here. Whereas in the regular season, they're usually sticking to that throughout the entirety of the season, not changing things all too much. They're seeing what works and they're kind of running with that. They've also integrated this at game time last 15, so that's something they're going to be working on throughout the summer. So they're going to have updates. They've been updating this all throughout the year, so really excited to use this. Obviously next year, really excited to use this for WNBA. If you want to check it out for a free week, you can actually do so using my code in the description down below. It's code RICH. That lets them know that I sent you there. You get the free week, and you also get 25% off your first month or your first year. Props Madness is awesome. Definitely check them out. So we're going to start off with Steph Curry here. And we're going to try to paint a picture of this game, kind of make a game script, if you will, and we're going to go and kind of run with that. If the game script's wrong, if Steph Curry scores 40 points, then a lot of these plays we're probably going to miss. But I'm thinking the Rockets really want to try to get the ball out of this guy's hands as much as possible. They'll let Brandon Pajcic, who has not been great in this series, beat them. They'll let Jimmy Butler, who's going to be a better driver and better getting to the free throw line, they're going to let him beat him. If you check out the games that Steph Curry's scored a lot of points, 31 points here in game 1, they win by 10. 36 points in game 2, they win by 11. The Rockets obviously see that. The games they're winning are the games that they're doubling him, not letting him. When they're setting a screen for him, they're going to come out and they're not going to let him shoot threes over the center. They're going to both, hedge that screen, go over it. They're going to double team him, and Pajcic or Jimmy Butler or whoever's going to be wide open for a little bit, and they're going to have to make that adjustment after the fact. And that's how they've won games. So I think that's what we're going to expect for today. If you look at games that he's played with Jimmy Butler in the lineup, I'm looking at his assists, by the way. If you go to the games he's going with Jimmy Butler, he's over this in 51% of games. You see the head-to-head he's played with Jimmy Butler in the lineup. Look at the assist games that that he's had less assists. They win that game by 7. They win this game by 10. They win this game by 3. The games he's had more assists, they're losing these games. So that's not the Warriors being like, okay, Steph Curry needs less assists. That's the Rockets adjusting and saying, hey, if we let Steph, get the other guys involved and we try to limit him in scoring as much as possible, that's when we're having more success here. So I really think Steph Curry is going to have to be a passer here. This is a nice plus money play, plus 116. And this is the game script that I'm kind of putting into account. If Steph Curry's shooting, 35 footers with Amin Thompson draped all over him, then you're going to go hats off to him. But he's probably going to have to get these other guys involved. And I think that's the 5.5 assists here is going to be a pretty solid play for that in terms of the game script that I'm thinking is going to happen. And then also to add to that, it's not like I'm taking Steph Curry to not score points. And you can see the games he's scoring points. He's shooting really good percentages, 12 of 19. He was shooting hard shots and making very hard shots. Steph Curry could do that. Sure, 12 of 23 got a little bit more volume in this game. I think that was the game that we didn't see Jimmy Butler in that game. So the volume is going to be up. If Jimmy Butler's not going to play, we're going to see Jimmy Butler in there. And if he shoots 63%, 56% from three and knocks down 5 threes, while again, Amin Thompson or someone's all over him, then you got to go hats off to him. But at the same time, I think there's going to be more opportunities for assists because they're going to make him take hard shots. So it's going to be the decision of Steph Curry, and I think he's going to have to pass the ball up a little bit more. And those other guys are going to have to step up. So that brings me to the second play of the video, which is going to be Jimmy Butler. And obviously this guy can step up. Playoff Jimmy is a real thing. And he's done pretty well in the games that he's been playing normal minutes. He played 8 minutes in this game. That was a game he got hurt, missed game 3. Then he plays 25 minutes in this game, only shot 10 times in those 8 minutes, which I do like to see, but shot 2 of 10. So obviously that's not going to be great for him right there. So I think he's going to get the volume. Again, if we're putting this idea in our heads that Steph Curry is going to be limited as much as possible, then guys like Jimmy Butler are going to have to step up and score. And we've seen Jimmy do that time and time again every year in the playoffs. So I think he's going to have a lot of volume here. He's played pretty well against this team when he gets the time. Again, if you go to games with Steph Curry in the game, he's gone over this in 2 of 6 games. Doesn't look too good, but this is a different type of character in the playoffs. You look at playoff games, the games he's playing normal minutes, 42 minutes here, 40 minutes here. That was post-injury as well. He scored pretty well against this team. So 21.5 points. This was 20.5 last time, and that's always a good sign when he didn't have a good scoring game last time and the scoring line goes up here. He's at home. Playoff Jimmy has definitely got to activate, and if we're thinking Steph Curry's going to get a little bit more subdued, someone's got to step up, and it's going to be, this guy. And that's going to bring us to Brandon Pajcic here, who's going to be the next guy that's going to have to step up after Jimmy Butler. You're going to need 3-point shooting from a lot of these different guys. I don't know if it's going to be Buddy Hield playing the plethora of minutes, or is it going to be Moses Moody playing himself into time, Quentin Post, whoever's going to be hitting their shots, I think is probably going to get the most time between those 3 guys, but Brandon Pajcic is kind of locked into his minutes here. And his line's at 14.5, which is great to see. He's not been hitting this. He had that one good game. That was a game that Steph Curry didn't score much. They win that game. Pajcic is a big part of that. I really like his first quarter points here. Now, at 3.5, it's pretty solid. You can see it's actually plus 102 for this payout here, as opposed to his normal payout, which is a minus 102 at 14.5, and he's hit it less times. So I think Pajcic, if they're going to be running that defense that I think the Rockets are going to be doing, they're going to be doubling Steph on those screens. Pajcic will be, at the high post or at the 3-point line, whatever it might be, and getting open looks there. And the only time they'd make an adjustment is if Pajcic comes out and hits a bunch of shots in a row, and they have to go, okay, maybe we got to start not doubling Steph as much as we are. So I think first quarter points is probably the move here. I've actually put in a parlay that I bumped his stat line down to 2.5. So he just needs a 3-pointer, which he's hit in a lot of these games so far in this series, which is pretty sweet. So 2.5, you just need a 3 here. I think it's something we could absolutely see from Pajcic, and I think we could see a big game from him if they really stick to the fact that, hey, we're going to stop Steph Curry as much as possible. If Pajcic hits 6 threes, he hits 6 threes. We just got to make up for it on the other side of the court. So now moving into the Rocket side of things, it gets a little bit harder to predict here, especially with the scoring. So you got guys like Alperen Sengun, who can really take advantage of some of these matchups, being the biggest guy on the floor. But at the same time, Draymond Green's a defensive player of the year type of guy, and he knows how to defend bigger guys than him. And we've seen that. He scored pretty good in 2 games. He scored pretty mediocre in 2 other games. Then you go to Jalen Green. This guy I can never trust. Is he going to have a crazy scoring outburst like he did in game 2? Potentially, but at the same time, he's losing minutes, and he's not a very good scorer. He's a very streaky guy. Not a very good scorer is not what I mean to say. What I mean to say is he's not a very good playoff type guy. He's not going to step up in the playoffs, especially when the defense gets turned up. And we've seen that time and time again. He's not shooting that much. He's losing some time, and his efficiency is kind of down the drain. Horrible matchup for him to score the ball as a pick and roll defense, a transition defense, a in the paint defense, and above the break 3 defense. It's just a horrible matchup for him, so I can't really trust him. Fred VanVleet's been a guy that stepped up, but he's really just been super, super efficient. 8 of 13, 8 of 13 here too. Those are the big time games that he's played, but I think they're going to probably put the ball in his hands a little bit more as that veteran type guy. This guy's a champion champion at the end of the day, and he's really stepped up the past 3 games. And Thompson, again, very difficult opportunity for him to score. I do kind of question the fact is he might get in foul trouble. Blocks and steals for him might be interesting just from what he did last time, but his scoring, again, very difficult matchup for him. You go to Dylan Brooks, he's probably got the best matchup to score. He's been pretty good in the series, gone over in 3 of the 4 games, or 3 of the 5 games, got very close in the other 2 games. You know that's a spot-up weakness that this defense has, and they're going to probably live with Dylan Brooks killing them here. Big game last time, only 29 minutes, so he's probably feeling pretty good after that, and he's probably a playoff-type player, being able to play better on the road, but then you got to factor in the idea that he might get tossed at any moment in a game. So again, I lean towards a Jabari Smith Jr. to Tari Eason. I know the minutes aren't going to be there for these guys, but they are pretty good shooters. If they can spread the floor and get some open looks, you got to look at these 2 guys. And then Steven Adams plays really well in the time he's on the court. You just, kind of question how much time he is going to get in the court. So for scoring, definitely a little bit harder to predict on this side. I would definitely lean the Jalen Green under, but again, it's kind of inevitable that he, breaks out of a slump at some point. I don't know if that's going to be on the road in the Bay against the Warriors in the playoffs. So I do tend to try to fade him here. Fred VanVleet, probably the guy that I'd want to look at. The same thing with Dylan Brooks. I know I talk about him potentially getting tossed at any moment, but he's got a good matchup to score the ball. And then Alperen Sengun can absolutely take advantage of his size. He's been pretty good at rebounding, and he's been really good at assisting in this matchup as well. So like a rebounds and assists, he's been pretty good at doing that. Another thing I want to look at is the blocks and steals for Amin Thompson. I did just mention this. He's only got it in one of these games, but he just had a crazy game, and he had Steph Curry in chains pretty much. All very active blocking, stealing. They get 5 steals and 3 blocks. So he's probably hyped up, but a younger guy is Steph Curry, is Jimmy Butler. Is Draymond going to get this kid into foul trouble? Potentially, that's what scares me a little bit. But again, I probably lean, if I'm going to take an over on anyone, probably a Jabari Smith Jr. is going to be my guy. He's been my guy all series, and he really, honestly, has not came through for me as many times as I wish. But I think it's an opportunity here for him to knock down some threes if the time on the court is there for him. All right, so I pretty much touched on every player that's playing today, and obviously you can try to guess every single thing that's going to happen. But instead, I went for a game script here. I'm going to do a little bit different in terms of the official video picks. I've actually got an Underdog fantasy slip for you guys, which includes a lot of the guys that we talked about in this one. If you're not on Underdog, check out my link in the description down below. It's code RichPicks. When you use my code when signing up, I think it's also RP100, so don't get confused if it automatically puts that in. But just use my code when signing up. You get a deposit match up to $1,000. You get a new user free square as well, so you'll be able to add that to your entry. And then you also get a free month in my Discord. So if you use my code when signing up, let me know in the comments or the free part of the Discord. Say, hey, I use your code to sign up for Underdog to tail your slip. I'd like to get into the Discord for a free month. I'll go ahead and do that for you. But this is a slip we got going on. Jimmy Butler, 22.5 points. It was a little bit higher in Underdog, but they also gave us a little bit higher of a payout, so it's a 1.04x on this particular thing. Steph Curry at 5.5 assists, a nice plus money play to include here. And those 2 plus money plays let us include some alternate unders here. Jalen Green lower than 19.5 points, so I boosted his line up and still took the under. If he scores 16 points, we still win here. His normal line's at 15.5. Brandon Pajcic also lowered his from 3.5 first quarter points to 2.5. I think that's huge because that's 1 3-pointer here. I think that's a much easier, and the hit rate on that is like 87% on the year when playing with Jimmy Butler. And then we got Jabari Smith Jr. Got to stick with the guy that we've been going to a lot in this series. Hopefully he comes through for us. And this is a nice 20 for $214 entry. I think it's like a 10.4 X return. So we're going to go big or go home, try to put the game script that we created into account here. Jimmy Butler, Pajcic score some points. Jalen Green stay under. Maybe that, gives Jabari Smith Jr. some more opportunities. So like what I'm seeing here, obviously we talked about a lot of different players in this game for what I think is going to go on. And but this is what we got going on. So definitely check out Underdog. Link in the description down below. It's code RichPicks if you want to sign up. You get the deposit match. You get the free square. You get the free month of Discord. Win-win-win situation. Definitely check them out. So that'll do it for me in this one. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we get a good game, a nice Friday night game. Competitive. That's all we can really ask for. And hopefully the game script goes the way that I've kind of created it in my head. That's what's been working for the Rockets. And if they're going to keep this thing close, I think they got to continue to get Steph Curry out of these, out of the ability to shoot as much as he wants. And they've been pretty good at doing that. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the video, or hopefully you enjoyed the video. Leave the video like, comment something down below. It does tell YouTube to push this video out a little bit more when you do that. And of course, subscribe if you are new. Definitely check out Props Madness. That was a tool I was using throughout the video. Definitely check out Underdog to try to tail our slip. Again, link in the description down below. It's code RichPicks, and you get a bunch of perks for using that. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully get a good game, and I'll see you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace out.